Good evening, good day, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz Foundation in its first annual International Women's History Month. We're so grateful and so thankful that you're here with us, whether you're watching this live or whether you're catching on a repeat. We do, of course, welcome you to look at this later. More importantly, we welcome you to share this with other people so that they too know, the history as well as the information that they can find out as it relates to health. And this, during International Women's History Month, we are actually letting our senior subject matter experts who are women, we are asking them, and they've graciously, acknowledged and confirmed that they will be speaking on their subjects. We've asked them to come forth and share some information with all women in regards to certain things that a lot of times we don't know about because, hey, we're women. And so a lot of times we get gaslighted out of the healthcare system, and we shouldn't be. So we don't know when things happen that could impact us as well as could impact our family members. So, it's great to have women at the leadership because guess what? We're going to make sure you find out what you need to know about certain health conditions that impact us. So, without further ado, what I am going to do is go ahead and read our esteemed, honored speaker, Dr. Amira Muhammad. I'm going to give you a little bit of snapshot picture, if you can, in reference to her importance, what she does, how she does it, and why we at C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz Foundation chose to ask her to speak for us in reference to the International Women's History Month. She is the CLT founder. So first of all, Dr. Amira Muhammad is a DP, TT, a CLT. I'm going to let you tell her. I'm going to let her tell you what those initials are. I know what they mean, but I'm going to let her tell you what they mean. She is the founder of Lymphera, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, and she is the lead clinical provider at Excel Physical Therapy. She addresses the issue of lymphedema as a public health concern. Dr. Amira Muhammad has spent over 20 years treating patients with lymphedema, lipedema, and other related lymphatic disorders. And before I let Dr. Amira go ahead and share her information with us, Dr. Mira, I have a very close cohort that I work with, and I don't work with her, but as far as the health advocacy field, she's an advocate as well. She's actually a lipedema patient. And when I told her you were going to be on tonight, she was like, Sandra, but it's not lymphedema, it's the other. And I was like, oh, the one that's spelled. So she had to spell this for me. So I'm certainly hoping, I'm not sure what Jewel is doing this evening, but I'm certainly hoping that what happens is that, and I know she'll watch it later because she knows, she wants to hear this information, and she normally does follow along with me. So I'm hoping she gets a huge bit of information out of this, and I know that if she has further information or further questions, that she now has someone that she can actually reach out to, whether email, and say, could you tell me about this, that, or the other? So along with her being able to get that information, all of us need to have this information. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. And I do see Lark Ambrose has joined us. She says, fantastic initiative, Sandra. Lark, I'm trying. Oh, our community, all of us, like I belong to three, right? African American, and I'm a woman, and I also have disabilities myself. So women, as far as us being underserved, as far as us being under-resourced, I know it's real, right? We as women, we all know it's real. And Carolyn Coleman, hello to you as well. And with that being said, I'm going to now go ahead, and those of you that are watching on Facebook, if you have questions, please go ahead and put those questions in the comments on Facebook, LinkedIn. Please do the same. Dr. Amira is here with us this evening. She's more than willing to answer your questions because she, like me, both want you to know what it is, right? So, Dr. Amira, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to you and let you educate all of us.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you so much for doing this. This is huge. Doing patient advocacy is just the most important thing. And happy International Women's Day to you and the Women's History Month. And also, this is Lymphedema Awareness Month. We just celebrated World Lymphedema Day on March 6th. So this is like, March is just an amazing month. And I'm glad to be here with you to share this information about lymphedema. And lipedema is the other condition that is always mistaken as lymphedema. So that's, yeah, there are two different things. So, hello everyone. Thank you for listening in. So, first we're going to talk about what is lymphedema. I mean, it sounds like Greek and Latin or something else, right? Most people don't even know this term, I believe. So, lymphedema is abnormal accumulation of lymphatic fluid in our body due to faulty or damaged lymphatic system. So, what is lymph? Like, what lymphatic system is a subsystem of a circulatory and immune system. So lymph is created in our body. It is produced in our body. Our body carries, our heart pumps, and it carries about 20 liters of blood all the way in our body, everywhere. And about 17 liters of blood is carried back by our veins. So the arteries carry blood to the body, and the veins carry back, and the cycle continues. But if you notice, I said only 17 liters of blood is carried back via the veins. What happens to those 3 liters? Those 3 liters becomes the lymph. So that's the extra fluid that's left in our body tissues that the veins are not able to carry. And also, it also has other things in it, like your protein, your fat cells, anything that your WBCs, your immune response cells, all these things are carried by the lymphatic system. So the 3 liters that the lymphatic system carries are really important because they carry like the cells that fight our germs. They carry your proteins, they carry the fat cells. Sometimes what happens, like I mentioned, that the lymphatic system gets damaged. How? Why does it get damaged? It can be from cancer treatment. 60% is from cancer treatments and radiation, surgery, removal of lymph nodes. 40% of lymphedema is from other things, which can be obesity, which can be venous insufficiency, meaning the veins are not working correctly, chronic venous insufficiency. Another reason can be genetics. So it runs in families, believe it or not. Sometimes it does. And also any damaged lymphatic system can be from fractures, can be from any surgery. I saw patients just recently as well, like even 2 weeks ago, I saw a patient that had a foot fracture and about 2 years ago, and then she started developing swelling in her legs, and she did not know what was going on. And so eventually she went to, I believe, one of the nurse practitioners, and she diagnosed her, and she said, hey, you have lymphedema, go to the lymphatic clinic. So lymphedema clinic. So that happens sometimes. So it can be from anything: surgery, injury, cancer treatments, radiation, genetics. And sometimes there's something which is people are born with it. There's another thing called lymphedema precox, which happens in young ladies, young girls, like 9, 10, 12, 15 years old. Yes. So the child does not have any swelling in the legs, but she turns like pre-puberty times, and then this starts. So that's called lymphedema precox. So all these things are there. There's so many uh, things that happen with the lymphatic backup. Okay, let's go to the next slide and let's. Are you guys able to see my slides? I'm thinking you do, because I'm not good at this technical stuff. So so you guys, I'm sure, are able to see it. Sandra knows better. So
Yes,
let's go to
I'm
the next
actually
slide.
watching Dr. Amira. I'm actually looking on
Okay,
LinkedIn as well, so I can
wonderful.
see it. So I'm sure they can see it.
Hello. Wonderful. So here we go. So leading causes, we just talked about lymph node removal, injury, due to lymphatic vessels due to trauma, infection, venous insufficiency. So we talked about all this. So what is the treatment? What do we do? And how do we diagnose it? That's the next step, right? We can diagnose this by first just clinical examination, looking at it. Hey, you have this problem, and we measure. We look at how the tissue looks, and there is something else that has developed in the recent years. It's called bioimpedance spectroscopy. It's a very non-invasive test. It looks like you're standing on a weight scale, and it takes like 2 minutes to test it. So it gives you a report right away. The score is called LDEX. So if there is some of the bigger hospital systems do these testing. I don't know what the cost is in these hospitals, but my organization received a funding to help pay for um, some of the testing for the machine and the test. So I'm able to do it for free until July. So if anyone wants to drive up, come get tested, we're here. We will do it for free. So what is the treatment for the lymphedema? We do, it's called complete decongestive therapy. It is done by, it can be done by therapy, like physical occupational therapists, especially trained people. Not every therapist can do this. They have to be certified lymphedema therapists, certified lymphedema practitioners. Um, at least they go through like 135 hours of extra training for just this, and they learn how to take care of this situation. And those are the people that you should see. So just don't go to anyone that just says, hey, yeah, we can wrap your legs up. Don't do that. You go to a specialist. Okay. So next, what are we going to talk about is complications. What are the complications? So if it's left untreated, people start getting what we call cellulitis. Have you heard? I'm sure a lot of people would have heard that word. Oh, my leg, I had cellulitis. I was admitted in the hospital. So it's like cellulitis is nothing but skin infection. It there's back there is the lymphatic fluid is full of protein. Like I said earlier, it carries protein attracts bacteria. So what happens, even a small scratch, a needle prick from a test on the affected lymphatic leg or arm can end up having cellulitis. Even like somebody shaving their legs, and what happened, they did like a little neck, and that can end up in cellulitis of the lymphedema leg. So be careful with those things and seek help early. So if your ankles keep on getting swelling after any injury, any surgery, any of those things, go seek help. Go ask your doctor, go ask your primary doctor and say, "Hey doc, this is happening. What do you think I should do? Do you think I could have one of these problems that I heard about? It's called lymphedema." Um, um, hey, why don't you, no harm in asking, right? All they're going to say is yes, or maybe go to a specialist. Let's refer you out to somebody. So, yeah, give it a shot. Talk to people. If you have an issue, go take care of it. Right. So how many people are affected with lymphedema in America? It says 3 to 5 million. It's probably, this is such an underdiagnosed condition. So it probably is more than that, but it's estimated around like 5 million people right now in the United States are affected with lymphedema. And let's go to the next slide. So the treatment, the gold standard for decongestant therapy, what is that? It has what we manually push the fluid. I have another therapist that works with me, and she's also trained. So we do manual lymphatic drainage. We teach people exercises, decongestive exercises, which means like exercises that help decongest the limb. Compression therapy, we start with bandaging the legs, and then we also recommend the right kind of compression socks, sleeves, gloves, whatever, wherever the edema, the swelling may be. Sometimes people also get in the trunk, in the body trunk, upper uh, upper back. If it's like a breast patient, it can be anywhere. It can be in the abdominal. So people get lymphedema from post-surgery, like I said, so it can be from any surgery. We also teach patients how to take care of the dryness. There's a lot of dryness with the lymphedema. So a right pH fluid, lotion, and those kind of things. Basically, our job for this complete decongestant therapy is not just to keep continuing to treat the patient in our clinic, but we also want to educate them. We always take a lot of time educating people to be able to take care of themselves. That's one of my primary things, is like I want people to be able to be independent, take care of themselves in a long run. I mean, a lot of money is spent in healthcare, I know. So, but we want people to be able to take care of themselves. But when they have an issue, when there's a flare up of the problem, they can always come back. So that's what I tell my patients all the time. I'm like, hey, I'm going to treat you. I'm going to take care of this, and probably be working with me for a couple months. And then after that, I'm going to teach you how to take care of this yourself. But I'm here for you, and you can keep coming back and let me. If there's a problem, if your legs swelled up or your arms swelled up, you know where to go. You know what to do. Come on back, and we will measure you. Maybe the compression garment. Maybe the compression is no longer fitting the person, and that's probably why they swell up in the first place. So we assess the situation, and then we help the patient to take care of it. So let's go to the next slide now. Let's see. These are the real patient images of somebody that I had treated myself. First picture says this was how the person's leg looked: hard, red, and really look at how swollen it was. And the swelling, it doesn't feel soft, it feels more like leathery. When you touch the leg or the arm that is affected with lymphedema, it feels like leather, feels like an orange peel. And in further stages, like next stage, it starts to feel more like hard, like almost like what do I say, like rock. Like sometimes it feels really hard. So this first picture is before treatment. As you can see how hard that looks, and it is heavy. Patients tell me the pain feels like this heavy, tight, numb pain is what I have heard from my patients. They tell me it feels like I have numbness in my feet, and it's a heavy, tight feeling. So we treated this patient, and then after we treated them for 2 months, the second picture on top right, you can see how it has gone down. It's still like the skin looks dry, and that's very typical of lymphatic. It's the skin gets dry. But then we treated them longer. We put them on a compression garment that fits them well. We have some Velcro garments as well that we use. So we put them on those, and after maybe almost 3 months, this is how he looked, and amazing the progress they make. So let's go to the next slide. Problems patients face are accessibility and the lack of quality of care. Just the other day, I was saying something on one of the social media platforms, and I met there was a patient that came and said, "There's nobody that does this in my city." Access to quality healthcare is limited sometimes, and that's the problem. So I'm going to go back to slide 2, which I did not share with you, but I'm going to share with you now. So 31.6 million in 2020. So, and there's not all the care is available everywhere. So cultural and linguistic issues, yeah, language barriers, and uh, and then also quality of healthcare is limited in some neighborhoods. In some places, you're not able to access the right kind of care. So we have to overcome all this just by education, building more care, more practitioners that are able to treat people closer to their homes. And that's something, there's a lot of disparity in our healthcare which needs to be addressed. So anyways, I'm coming back to the next slide. All right. So the next slide says, I want to ask my audience to think about this. How can we diagnose lymphedema before the quality of life is bad? So this problem, the lymphedema, it affects people with how they wear their clothes. If your leg is too big, you're not able to wear your pants correctly, you're not able to wear your shoes correctly, you're not able to fit into shoes. So I have a patient that wears like a size 18 because he no longer is able to fit into shoes that he was like size 15 or something before. Now he can't wear shoes, but this man is like, he has some money saved up, so he's able to buy those custom shoes for, like, for the, it's hard to find those things. Where would we know where to buy those things? So these are all the problems, real life problems. People can't work if they have lymphedema. That's if it's chronic and they're not able to move. What are they going to do? They lose their house, maybe. Sometimes all these things happen. So how can we diagnose before the quality of life goes down? What can we do? So again, seek help at the right time. Make sure that you get tested. We, like I had mentioned before, there's a device that does test it. So make sure it's available for more people. So if there's a hospital system close to you, call them up and see if they do the testing. Then the next question I want to ask is, does your primary care provider know that it's lymphedema? That's another issue that I have been facing. A lot of my patients take about 3 years sometimes to come see us, the specialist for the lymphatics, because they don't even know that it's lymphedema. A lot of people don't know it's lymphedema. Uh, my um, my son just finished his medical school about a year ago, and he is a resident, and he only got 20 minutes of lymphatic education in his whole medical school career of 4 years. Yeah, so it's nobody talks about it as much. So it's very limited resources, and a lot of people don't diagnose it early on. So that's a big, I'm going to make sure that you understand that early diagnosis is an issue. When it becomes really chronic and the leg is really big, then people diagnose it. But when it's not as big, then people don't know it's lymphedema. They think maybe something else is going on. There's a blood clot. Those are the things that
Dr. Mira, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I need you to actually turn your computer down a little bit because we're not actually able to hear you. You're echoing in and out. So if you can go back to step 3 and repeat what you were saying, that would be great. Please bear with us while she goes and comes back in. We will be right with you.
Can you see me?
I can't see you now. For some
I'm
reason, you
sorry.
were. That's okay. For some reason, you were going in and out. If you could put your,
Yeah,
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 if you could put
internet.
your screen, if you could put your your screen back in, your
Let me,
sharing. And,
yeah. I'm going back to it.
okay.
Oh, it took away. Oh, here it goes. I found it. It's coming back. Here we go. Sorry, I hope you guys are back. All right, we're going to.
Right.
Okay.
Go back one slide, and
Yep.
you were on
Okay.
number 3.
Here we are. Okay, we were at number 3. So we want to make sure you have adequate health coverage. What do I mean by that? So I mean, I have a lot of patients, and I know a lot of people have started going into Medicare Advantage plan. I don't know if you I'm sure you guys know this. So there's traditional Medicare, and then there's Medicare Advantage plans, and there's commercial insurances, right? So we want to make sure that we have adequate health coverage to help your condition, because sometimes we have patients that are very eager to sign up with Medicare Advantage plans, which they are giving them a lot of good benefits. I know, like, people get like money back, and people get like these catalogs where they can order free stuff. But Medicare Advantage plans, some of them are restricting your Medicare visits. So what's going on is, when you have like complete regular traditional Medicare, you are able to get compression garments. Since January 2024, Medicare has started to pay for compression garments for lymphedema, which it hadn't for like 20 years. So finally, this just about a couple months ago, they have started paying Medicare Advantage plans like Anthem, Aetna, United Healthcare, Humana. All these guys currently do not cover compression garments, which are a huge part of the treatment for lymphedema. The other thing is, your treatments are restricted as well due to prior authorizations. Patients go and they sign up for these plans, and then they show up at the clinics, and what happens is, we go get a prior authorization, and then the patient who should be technically be given like a 2 months of therapy for this chronic problem, they give you 5 visits, 7 visits, believe it or not, 3 visits. I have people that have like a wound on the leg from the lymphedema, and this poor lady was given 4 visits. And I was really like, what is going on here? Like, we have sent you all the information, but you're not approving this poor woman's visits. Yes, Medicare Advantage plans sometimes are not the best answer, because you're probably thinking like you're saving a lot of money by signing up for these plans, and you're getting a good bargain. But no, in the long run, you have copays. You have like, they're not paying for some of these things. So look into it. If they're not paying for your services, please make sure that your plan is working for you correctly. Otherwise, you have the every right to switch it. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, can you get to the transportation is another big issue for people. If they are not, if they have a leg that's swollen, they're not able to drive to the clinic 3 times a week. They need help. So make sure, like, you have adequate help getting to the clinic, at least for a couple months, or whatever time frame your doctor, your therapist suggests. And the next thing is, yes, 5 is all, actually, I already talked about 3 and 5 together. Does your insurance plan pay for the compression stockings, sleeves, those kind of things? Just make sure they cover it. Ask them, send letters. I have started giving these letters to my patients and say, hey, send it to your insurance company. Um, be your own advocate. Send a letter and say, I need this. This is my problem. This is the disease I have, and here's I was told like Medicare is paying for it, so why doesn't your insurance pay for it? I am part of, if you're a Medicare Advantage plan, you got to pay for this. Ask questions, do it. Take care of yourselves. All right, let's go to the next slide. This is the machine I wanted to share with you. This is called the bioimpedance spectroscopy that have started using. It's been almost a year that I've started using this in my clinic, and it's amazing. It measures my patients early on in the early stage of lymphedema before it becomes chronic, before it becomes really to treat. So the thing about lymphedema is a condition where if you are diagnosed early in the first two stages, you can get better quickly, you know. But if you're not diagnosed on time and this the swelling has gotten worse and the leg is humongous or the arm is humongous, it's going to take longer for it to be treated, for you to get better. So make sure you get to the hospital or a clinic who has this, and so that they can treat you. Make sure your insurance plan pays for it, for the test as well. All right, let's go to the next slide. Ooh, questions. If you have any questions about whatever we talked about, I can I will answer. And then, I wanted to share some pictures of the some of the pictures of the lymphedema. So I'm gonna go and see if I can upload some pictures from my computer. Do it quickly so that you can
And
see
while you're
them.
doing that, we have Dr. New in the audience who is watching. She's on LinkedIn. She's saying so awesome. And she's also saying hello to everyone on this Saturday.
Hello.
Uh,
Hello. Thank you.
and Dr. Amira, while you're looking for those pictures, I have a couple of questions. I'm not seeing any questions coming up on
Sure.
the screen, but I do have a couple of questions because I do want people to actually see these images, because what these
Yeah,
images will help us all to be able to do,
absolutely.
especially women, right? Because we
Yeah,
take the lead on our family's health care. And if we
we
see
do.
something going on with our children or with our spouse or anyone for that matter, right? We can
Yeah.
actually say, hey, you know what? You might have this lymphedema or lymphedema that I heard about. Let's see where we can go get you tested at, because
Yeah.
access is good. But herein lies the issue with access to healthcare. We know what it is. We've been told what it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
Where do we go to find out in what states, and also in what states have lymphedema specialists? Because once again, every physical therapy doctor that you go to is not going to know anything about lymphedema
I agree.
because they haven't been trained. So
Yep.
those of us that have people going to physical therapy, that's why it's important for you to go with them, because you can ask these questions. Are you a lymphedema specialist or a lipedema specialist, or do you even know where one is in our city or state or
Yeah.
wherever you are, so that you could get that information up? But
Yeah.
here's my question to you: Is it? Do you recommend? We have so many telehealth right now is the big thing. Do you recommend that someone use a telehealth practitioner to diagnose lymphedema, or is this something that, in your opinion, your clinical experience, is it something that they really need to actually see
Lymphedema.
a doctor to have them
Or
rule in or out whether it's lymphedema?
no, telehealth can be done if it's a person that knows about lymphedema. That's an option. Yeah. If it's yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but we do have Carolyn Coleman that's actually saying, thank you for information regarding the Medicare Advantage plans and what may not be covered. And I thank you as well, because so many times, especially in under-resourced, in the vulnerable communities, in the disabled communities that C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz works closer with, they can't afford to do
Mm.
the traditional A and B coverage. So they're actually stuck in picking a Medicare Advantage plan to actually help them with these resources to be able to help them to at least see one doctor. So once again, back to the, and this adds additional question to when is, so when you're looking for a telehealth specialist for lymphedema, is it best for the patient to call the insurance company and say, I'm willing to do, telehealth, but I need to actually see a lymphedema or a lymphedema specialist? Do you have one? Do you recommend that they ask that question?
So for diagnosis, I mean, I'm sure
She will be right back with us, so please bear with us for just a few moments until she does come back. And Carolyn, I do see you mentioned here the freebies are attractive to the underserved communities. Well, of course they are attractive to us, to the underserved and the vulnerable communities. Yes, they are. They're very, very attractive packages that they offer, but it goes to us, patient advocates, myself. I encourage self-advocacy, because when you do self-advocacy, you're actually able as a patient to outweigh one plan versus the other plan. I'm not sure. A lot of times what happens with the Medicare Advantage plans is that they ask for prior authorizations. Prior authorizations, and we speak about health literacy. Health literacy doesn't just mean that you understand what health insurance is, what a HMO is, what a PPO is. It doesn't just mean that. It also means that when you say prior authorization, you're actually ensuring, you're speaking to it, you're making sure that the patient understands, not just knows what knows the word prior authorization, but understands what exactly is prior authorization. The patient needs to not only know these words and become familiar with these words, but they also need to actually understand how to use them and when they should use them. That's all a part of the health literacy program. And a lot of times when we do health literacy, or we see health literacy programs, a lot of times they're not addressing all of that. And they need to actually address it, because sometimes insurances will cover certain things, but they need a prior auth. Well, if the patients don't know what a prior auth is, how they gonna get it? Right? Like, really. And so then it goes to, the freebies, attractive to the underserved communities. And because they're giving this free stuff and knowing that the patients are not healthcare literate, then this is where the problem lies in. And you're right, it does not cover their needs. No, it doesn't. A lot of times it doesn't, and a lot of times it does, but there's certain things that you have to go through in order for it to actually be able to carry over, and carry through. So those are just some of the things that that happen with health literacy, and that's why it's important for each of us that are in the health literacy field. That's why it's important for us to
it threw me out. It threw me out of it. I'm here. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
It kicked me out. And
I know
it
we're
took
having
me.
problems. Yeah, we're having problems. But go ahead, Dr. Amira.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I was trying to upload pictures. It wouldn't let me
That's
either,
okay.
because I
So
think, I don't know, whatever. So tell me, yeah, as you were asking me a question about if somebody can look at the patient using telehealth to diagnose? Yes, they can, but in the initial stages, it would be hard because if what if the patient is having congestive heart failure? What if it's a thrombo, like something else, thrombophlebitis? If what if it's like something else that's going on in the leg? What if there's blood clot, right? Like those kind of things can have swelling in your leg and or arm and anywhere. So then you're going to be it will be hard to see that on telehealth. That
Okay,
would
so
be my, yeah, yeah. But like an initial, like a small, like an initial visit, maybe, yeah. And for chronic, like if somebody has like really big swollen leg, then yeah, then they will be able to quickly diagnose on telehealth. Well, so what do you think about telehealth? What is your opinion about this? Because I'm
I
very iffy on this.
this is my thing with telehealth. I think all patients need to initially be diagnosed by a doctor in a doctor's office.
I
um,
agree.
Especially with, especially in our communities, especially in the communities that Charms Medi-Help services mostly. And that's because we already are challenged with not knowing about these health conditions. Like we don't
Mhm.
know because nobody has ever told us. The yellow school
Right.
bus hasn't stopped on our block and had a a big discussion about the diseases that impact us, right? So we just don't know. So if we're
Right.
seeing something that we haven't noticed before, or something that's out of whack, or symptoms or whatever, we really need to be, go to the doctor, let the doctor diagnose us, and then come back
I
and say,
completely
okay, well,
agree.
our follow-up visits can be. But you
I,
just brought up a very real point, right?
I agree. I completely agree with you because initially I would rather, if its patient is already established and they have already been there and they've done, the doctor's already seen you, yes, then that's fine. There are some things that can be diagnosed on telehealth, but not everything.
Well, and Carolyn is asking a question, and she's saying telehealth versus tele with a camera. So if you're doing telehealth, then there's two different things. You can do telehealth where it's just a conversation, it's the discussion amongst patients. But then it's actually a telehealth where the doctor can actually has utilization of a camera, or will either tell you, because I've used telehealth one time and the doctor was like, take a picture of what you're talking about and send it to me so that I could see. But I'm thinking with lymphedema, would they be actually able to determine that it's lymphedema or lymphedema based on the picture?
Um, just if it looks like, let me show you. Let me send you this. I'm gonna upload a picture. I'm hoping it's gonna let me upload. It's just, I'm gonna go back here and upload a slide that would say, yeah. So there's, okay, going back here.
So yeah, so just so that everyone is aware.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's, I would rather go see the doctor, um, but not, I wouldn't, for a follow up, I would be okay.
right.
I'd be okay with that, but I would not be okay with just seeing telehealth. I
Because
know it
you know
feels
what,
nice.
I'm honestly thinking, and Carolyn is saying, well, with the telecamera, the doc sees you and talks with you,
It
which is
does.
true. But Dr. Amira just brought up a really valid point that I'm hoping that we're understanding, is that if you have, or if you're having a heart attack, or you have congestive heart failure, a
Yeah.
camera is not going to show you that. You need to
No.
actually see a person that has
Exactly.
some of these conditions before you can rule out that they
Exactly.
don't have it.
Yeah.
Um, so there are certain conditions that, I mean, it's certain symptoms, signs and symptoms that I would definitely not encourage people to see use telehealth for.
I
Um,
agree. I
the
completely
swelling,
agree.
yeah, I wouldn't. You can't really determine, and I'm not. I'm sure a doctor cannot truly see the extent of the swelling if the swelling is all over your body, but you're
Yeah.
just taking a picture of your arm or your leg and sending it to them. How
Yeah.
can they actually correctly
It's
diagnose
hard. It is definitely very hard because that some things, like a cold and a cough and whatever is okay. That's easy. That's easy, right? But something more complicated, I would definitely show up at the doctor's office. I'd be like, let me go, let me see them.
you? And yeah, and Carolyn is saying she saw with a neuro exam and she was impressed. I would be impressed too, but I really would question um telling a patient that's doing an extreme amount of swelling to set up a telehealth visit. I'm just saying.
So there is a place for both, and some things are okay to be done on telehealth and some things are not okay. It's
Right.
just how it is, and I'm really
And you
sorry.
know what? And what's so scary about all of this is that they're saying AI is going to replace your doctor.
Oh yeah, yes, I have heard of that.
I mean,
No,
like
that's not.
really, like
Oh, I don't think so that's gonna happen.
we're gonna be like it. And you're right, Carolyn. It does depend on the issue, and that's exactly what myself and Dr. Amira was saying. But they're talking about AI replacing all of
No,
these, the
no,
doctors and everybody with
no, no,
this
no, no,
AI.
no, I
I,
don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't think
I
so.
beg that it not happen. I truly beg that we don't bring AI in
No,
to be a doctor because there's gonna be a whole lot of us in some serious, serious trouble
yeah,
when a robot
no.
starts telling us what's wrong with our bodies without actually examining us.
That would not be good. We don't want that.
No, not for
Yes.
anyone.
No, no.
So
So I'm sorry I was not able to send those pictures out to you. It just something's wrong with my internet as well. I think my Wi-Fi is not sending things out right time. So I'm very sorry.
that's okay. And Carolyn adds a final statement, and she's saying she agrees with you, and she's a nurse, and she's saying AI cannot replace docs or nurse.
No,
Who will place the bedpan? The robot is going to the AI is going to replace the bedpan. That's what's going to happen.
yeah.
But seriously, just bringing some light into the conversation that we're having today. I'm seriously hoping that as you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, you've heard from a leader in the lymphedema/lipedema, sector, I should say. You've heard from her. You've heard her warnings. You've heard her explain what it is. A lot of times we have these conditions that we don't know. We just really don't know, and we can't wish them away. We need leaders like Dr. Amira Muhammad who will come in and say, hey, this is something that you need to be doing. Here's some signs and some symptoms. And while I would love to sit here and say that this is a disease that only impacts the elderly, I would be dead wrong in saying that,
Oh no.
especially given with the number of statements and the number of articles and the number of news stories that we're currently hearing in this country, where it is our 21-year olds, our early 30s, it is our young people who are getting hit with these diagnoses. I don't want to say hit, but they're being diagnosed with these conditions that they did not know about. Dr. Amira brought up another really strong point that all of us, especially we as women, we need to actually take the time to sit down and write out what's going on with our family health history. You just heard her say it. It can be, this condition can be genetic. And that genetic it's not going anywhere. So, if you have young kids, you want them to know when they get a little older, these are some of the health symptoms that we had, and these are some of the health conditions that we were actually diagnosed with. so that they know when they go to the doctor's office, they can say, look, this is my health history. Any of us know that when you go to the doctor for a first time appointment, you get sometimes hit with a 20-page document that they want you to sit down and fill out. Well, if you've already written the information down and you have it in a journal, or you have it on a medical binder, or you have it out in a cloud somewhere, it's just a matter of actually 1, 2, 3. You have the information, you can give that to the doctor. Our information should be as concise as you can possibly get it, meaning that you need to have your history as far as a patient. The patient needs to have a family history as well. So for those moms out there, me included, I mean, I'm thankful that I've actually written the information down for my son, because what happens if he decides that he wants to have, his wife to have children? The children can carry that on, and so on and so on and so on. And we can proactively, because like she just stated, if we catch it early, we got it, right? We can control it more if we catch it early. The one way that we can catch it early is by having it documented, what we have that's going on in our families, so that we can be treated for it or monitored for it, watch for it, so that when it does come up, if it does come up, we can correctly address it, and we can address it on time, where we're not waiting for someone to get sick or to be worried, or even worried about doing the compression stockings, doing the, wraps, doing all that, because that can all be eliminated if we start early. So ladies, a shout out to you for being an awesome, awesome leaders that we are in our families. But we have to stop, and we have to take time when we have senior subject matter experts telling us information that we need to know that impacts our family. We have to take the time to make sure that we're notating it somewhere where somebody can get a hold of it. Somebody that you trust knows where it is and can get a hold of it. And Dr. New is saying, keep track of your family medical history. It's very important. You're welcome, Dr. New. She says, thank you, Sandra, for the reminder to write them down so we can pass them down to our children. You must. And when I say write them down, I'm not talking about scribble them on some piece of paper where you don't understand. When you look at it, you can't understand your own handwriting. You want somebody else to understand it. No. Write it down where your doctor can understand it, where you can understand it, whoever you passing it on to can understand it. Be proactive about your health. It's all about our history. And in order for us to continue to build on our history, we got to do our jobs, right? We got to self-advocate for ourselves. We got to keep listening to experts like Dr. Amira, who, once again, gave us this information. So for that, I do say thank you, Dr. Amira.
Thank you
for coming on. Thank you so much. Not sure what was going on earlier, but thank you so much for coming on. I do want to ask you, one, where can people look? Like if they're so you're in Indiana, and I'm in Chicago. I have people on here that are in different cities and states in the United States. Where do they go to see who is the closest lymphedema or lymphedema expert? Is there some place that they can go to?
Yes, like most of the hospital systems, major hospital system, the North Shore in Chicago has a very good lymphedema program. The North Shore is excellent, and University of Chicago also has a very good program. And all the big hospital, all the major, you guys have wonderful hospitals in Chicago. Northwestern, University of Chicago, Rush, all these guys have their own lymphedema programs in there. So call them and find out if they have. They have like long waiting lists sometimes, but it's still worth it. If
Right.
somebody's
But
full,
if someone lives, if for the people that live outside of Chicago and outside of Indiana, where do they go to find out where there's a lymphedema specialist at?
I think any hospital system that has like the most of the breast programs, like the breast cancer programs,
Okay.
They have a lymphedema program mostly.
Okay. So
Okay,
is
and
this
Elgin has a, it used to be called Sherman Hospital. I don't remember what it's called now. I'm sure like the names have changed, so I don't know what they're called anymore.
so
Uh,
it would be a
Elgin
matter of
has a good program.
it would be a matter of actually because we do like I'll bring up for example Carolyn. Carolyn is in Alabama. So if she
Okay,
wants to help someone in Alabama by getting them a specialist,
so
where does she tell them to go to look?
so there is a lymphnet.org, and is one of the websites, and then go on National Lymphedema Network, NLN. They also have the lymphedema programs listed in there, I believe.
Okay.
National Lymphedema Network is another
Okay.
one. They have they should have most of them.
Okay.
NLN is a really big organization, so yeah, they have it.
Okay. And
You
so for
can
those of
find
you
out.
that are looking, once again, whether you're looking at this live or you're picking it up at a later point in time, should you need to or want the information in reference to the lymphedema networks, please reach out to me. You can send me a DM. You can send me a message through LinkedIn. You can say, hey, Sandra, send me an email. Sandra, we need the information, or I need the information. Can you help me so that I can help you? But remember, as you're doing this, remember to be proactive and have a communication, a line of communication, open, I should say, line of communication with your provider. When you notice symptoms and you notice signs, and you're like, well, I want you to treat for this, or I want you to test for this, and they seem to be hesitant on why you're asking for it, go find another doctor. This your health. You only get one life. You ain't getting a repeat. So ask the questions, look for the resources. We have an excellent resource guide here at the C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz Foundation. And what we don't know, we'll reach out and find out for you. But the thing is, we actually need to be on it, right? We're, I'm tired of hearing and seeing story after story about women who are just being shunned away and they're not getting help. And yeah, it's a nightmare right now in any country. It's a nightmare. So, Dr. Amira, now is lymphedema and lipedema, is it a big issue on an international basis, or is it
Oh
just
yes, oh yes, oh yes, yes, it is. It's a
okay?
huge issue. So it's everywhere. Warmer weathers usually have more lymphedema,
Mhm.
because you know why? Because the hot weather increases, dilates your blood vessels, right? So there's more pulling of fluid in your legs.
Oh wow. I mean,
Is for
I
more,
know heat here in the states does
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you can just imagine, and if there's not enough specialists here in the states, what are they doing on an international level?
International is not bad at all. In some places, like Germany has the best program. Germany, the all the lymphedema treatments, everything started in Germany. So Europe is pretty good in a lot of these things. Yeah, yeah.
So we're back. So before I leave, so we're back to the issue of the United States as a leader, who is supposed to be a leader in these issues like this, are actually really not the leader.
No, unfortunately, I don't think, like, there is disparity in health in our country. I think it all boils down to disparity in health, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, and that's a shame. Yeah, I mean that's let's be honest, shame. But I am not going to hold you longer. What I do want to ask you to do is to leave us with 3 tips that we need to be taken away from, or we need to be, when it comes down to lymphedema, that we need to be mindful of when we, are experiencing any symptoms, or we know people that are experiencing symptoms, since it's not a well-known treatment recourse here in the states. What are 3 things that we can do? um
Okay. Very good question. So first thing I would do is, if you have a job where you have to do prolonged standing, I would start wearing those compression socks that they sell on Amazon first. Like, if you, even if you don't have lymphedema, if you just have jobs where you're standing a lot, I would recommend start wearing compression socks. Step 1. Number 2, what I would do is, if you had an injury and then you started having swelling in your arm, leg, anywhere, and it's not going away, after 2 months, I would definitely go seek help. I would be like, could this be this? And this is for lymphedema now. And what else? One more tip. Okay, elevate your leg. If you're swollen, elevate, compress, and seek help. Those are the things I would do. Lipedema, totally different. Lipedema is abnormal distribution of fat cells in the lower half of the body, waist down, from the waist down, in comparison to the upper body. So I have a lot of females that have been diagnosed with lipedema, the abnormal fat cells in the lower half of the body. What happens is your upper body is skinny, but from the waist down, it's big. Have you seen? I'm sure there's people that have noticed that, and they don't know what is going on, and that is lipedema, lipedema, and it's not lymphedema. Sometimes you can have lipedema, patients will have lymphedema along with it. So even for the lipedema, the treatment is compression socks, well fitting compression socks. So if they're not fitting you correctly, if they're too tight, they can hurt you more. Don't wear those. Make sure you go to a compression store or a specialist that does this and get fitted for right compression stockings or sleeves, any of that.
Okay, and I thank you so
Thank
very much
you. You're welcome.
once again for coming in. Dr. Carolyn Coleman is saying thank you so much for your presentation. I'm certainly hoping that there are people that, if I could touch one person who's learned something, then I've met my goal, because everybody's not going to learn something from all the conversations that I've had. But if one person can take something away from this and say, I really didn't know. And I also, when you talk about lymphedema and you talk about lymphedema, I do want to actually leave us with this thought process, right? Biasm is real. And so you're saying, Sandra, well, what does biasm have to do with this conversation? If you see someone that's on the heavy side, don't just automatically assume that they're fat just because they're fat, because you don't know. You don't know what that person is going through. You don't know if it's lymphedema, you don't have, or some other type of health condition that they're dealing with. We have to move away from, let's look at this person. This person looks like this, and forming this false negative in our head about someone without actually having the facts. We have to, and we should be having the facts. So just think about that the next time, you see someone on the heavy side and you're like, they just need to go lose weight. They need to run in the gym. They need to go eat better or whatever. If it's a health condition, a medical condition, all the running and eating and exercising in the world is truly not going to help them lose that weight if it's something that's out of their control. So please be mindful of people, remove that biasm out when you meet people that don't fit your expectations, because you never know what they might be going through. And yes, kindness does matter. So thank you, Dr. Amira, so very much for being here. Thank you, everyone,
Thank you
for
for having
being
me.
for joining in this evening. Tomorrow is March 10th, and we will be on the subject of resilience. We're going to take a look. We're going to have as our honored speaker a young lady that's going through right now, but her resiliency is doing what it's always done for us women, which is to keep us continuing to head forward, and that's where we should be going. So, with that, good night, good day, good afternoon. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good night. Good evening.